Hi everyone, how are you today? Welcome, welcome. There's quite a bit of you that have registered for this event. We're going to wait a couple seconds as everyone comes in. I think we have close to 400 people that had registered. Really excited to see everyone. If you can do me a favor and light up the chat box and let me know where you're dialing in from, that'd be wonderful to see. So where's everyone dialing in from today? Okay, we're starting to get more and more people in. We're up to 40 plus. Let's see, give a couple of more minutes, maybe a full 10, 15 seconds, and we'll get started. So feel free to uh, start communicating in the chat, letting us know where you're from. Excited to meet every single one of you today, and thank you for taking the time and coming over. All right, so thanks. Let's get started now. So good morning, everyone. And welcome to LA Tech Week. I'm Hamlet Azarian, founder and CEO of Azarian Growth Agency, and I'm genuinely excited to be here with you today. Over the next 60 minutes, we're going to explore something that's fundamentally changing how your customers are going to find you online. This might be the biggest shift in search or just online in general since Google launched 25 years ago. So with a show of emojis or comments in chat, how many of you have used ChatGPT or an NI tool or another AI tool to research a product or service in the last week? Can I see for some emojis? Who's actually actively using it to do research today? Great, great. As I thought. So that's exactly right. So what we're going to talk about is how this fundamental change is happening and how you can take advantage of it. So some little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded and you'll get the replay. Please use the Q&A feature throughout. Don't wait until the end. If something's not clear, please add a question in the Q&A section, and I'll promise I'll try to answer as many of us as I can at the end of the presentation. We will have two polls and throughout the presentation. It's really, really important for you guys to complete those. It will give me a sense of how the presentation is going and then if I need to adjust anything along the way. And lastly, all the resources I mentioned today, frameworks, checklists, tools, I'll share with you at the end of this as well too. So a little bit about me. I've been obsessed with growth for as long as I can remember, not just marketing tactics or vanity metrics, but genuine, sustainable, scalable growth. My philosophy is pretty simple. I believe in being a perpetual lifelong learner. The moment you think you figured it all out in marketing is the moment you become irrelevant. And nowhere is that more true than right now. With AI fundamentally changing the search landscape, I founded Azarian Growth Agency with a mission to help companies grow through data-driven full funnel strategies. But we don't just execute campaigns. We build ecosystems. And that brings me to what we've created. Let me show you all of this. So on the left over here is our A Growth Ventures podcast, where I sit down with founders, CMOs, and growth leaders and unpack what's actually working in the market. Over here is our academy, where we've had over 4,000 students take the courses online through our Udemy courses. To the right is our Growth Lab webinar series, which is what you're participating today, is where we unpack some of the tactics and strategies we utilize at the agency day in and day out. And then at the top here is obviously our agency itself. So where we help different businesses scale up and be able to go from initial funding to Series A. So a little bit about our webinar series. We've done a bunch of these already. We've had close to 3,000 or 4,000 people take it. This is more of part of a journey where if you want to understand the latest, greatest technology, I highly encourage you to kind of go through and listen to some of our past webinars. We've talked everything from server-side tracking and attribution, how to scale meta ads, Google ads, email marketing, SEO evolution, AI-based content. And last week at San Francisco Tech Week, we even talked about web marketing. But today, obviously, we're going to stay focused on generative engine optimization, because if you're thinking about how AI search engines surface your brand, you're already behind. For those of you who've joined previous Growth Lab sessions, welcome back. For those of you who are new, you're in for something special. This community is all about pushing beyond best practices into what's actually working right now. All right, let's get going. So I'm going to go, this is today's agenda for the next 60 minutes or so. We're first going to talk about what GEO actually is and why it matters. Then we're going to get into about content authority itself in the age of AI, what makes AI engines trust and cite certain sources over others. This isn't the same as traditional SEO authority, so we need to understand the new rules. Third, and this is where we get tactical, I'm going to break down our complete GEO optimization framework. This is a four-pillar system we use at the agency: authority signals, content structure, technical optimization, and strategic distribution. You'll get specific actionable tactics for each pillar. Fourth, we'll explore the tools that actually matter. The GEO Tool Landscape exploded in 2025, and I'm going to cut through the noise and show you which tools to use, when to use them, and how to measure what's working. Fifth, we'll go into the art and science of building content that gets cited by LLMs, what content formats work best, how do you structure information, where should you publish. I'll share data from analyzing over 768,000 AI citations to show you exactly what gets referenced. And finally, we'll do a deep Q&A. I want this to be fully useful and practical for you guys. So bring your questions, challenges, and your specific scenarios. And as I mentioned earlier, please feel free to add any Q&A questions as I'm going throughout. Okay. So before we get started, the first poll, this will give me a good sense of where you are personally in GEO right now. If you can take a quick second and fill this out. You've never heard of it, but haven't acted, currently experimenting, actively optimizing. So go ahead and fill this out. While you're filling out, let me grab some water. Okay. All right. Now let's get into it. So I want to show you exactly why GEO matters for your business. These aren't projections. This is hard data from 2024 and 2025. So 5 data points. Let me just go one by one. So first and foremost, Gartner predicts 25% drop in traditional search by 2026. That traffic is moving to AI assistance. If you're not optimizing for AI, you're about to lose a quarter of your visibility. 2, when AI answers appear, organic click-through rate drops 34%. You rank number 1 on Google, great. But when Google AI overviews appear above you, your click drops by a third. The value of traditional SEO number 1 position rankings is collapsing. 3, AI referred visitors spend 61% longer on your site. 7.5 minutes versus 4.5 minutes from Google. These aren't drive-by visitors. They're engaged, pre-qualified by the AI, quality over quantity, right? 4, they also browse 2.3 pages per session versus 1.2 for Google users, nearly double. They're exploring your site, consuming content, building deeper understanding of your brand. 5, this is middle to the bottom funnel behavior. People are using AI to make decisions, get recommendations, narrow options, all before they click through. By the time they arrive at your site, they're much closer to buying. I mean, I do this all the time. I don't know how many have do. If I want to research to buy what stereo equipment, or if I want to try to figure out what to do as part of my vacation itinerary, this seems to be my go-to. So here's the pattern. Traditional search volume is declining, but AI referred traffic is higher quality, longer sessions, more pages, higher intent. The shift is from chasing clicks to earning citation. The brands that figure out how to get cited by AI agents will capture disproportionately valuable traffic, uh, smaller volume perhaps, but dramatically higher intent and engagement. This is exactly why GEO matters. If you can't see this trend, let me be blunt. You're going to lose visibility, traffic, and revenue to competitors that recognize what's happening and act on it. Now you might be thinking, okay, Hamlet, I get that there's a shift, but how big is this really? Let me kind of go through this and kind of be super crystal clear about it, okay? So what I'm going to show now is the overall, this is a slide, but I'm going to show you in real life. We're going to look at best AI marketing tools, okay? So here, if you kind of look at this, this is the traditional Google search. You get sponsored ads, and as you can see, Google is now on this particular query, has 4 sponsored ads. Then you get over here where you kind of can see potentially the tools that it's recommending. Again, it's doing it as not a pure AI overviews, but a version of that, right? So this is like a rich enablement. But then here comes the AI overviews itself, and then the one SEO article that made it through. Now, if the user clicks here, this is where you're getting the brand mentions and the sources and the citations. Now in Perplexity, I did the same query. You start off with the answer itself. You see the citations. You see the citations throughout this whole query itself. And then I did the same thing on ChatGPT with GPT-5, same exact query, much more robust in its answer. Again, with the citations and the brand mentions throughout it. So this is exactly the big change in paradigm that's occurring. Okay. So what does this really mean in all of this is that you are seeing 69% of searches end without a click. So this is a huge, huge drop to prior behavior, okay? Now, 3 metrics that show you exactly what's happening. This is in projection. This is measured data from 2023 to 2025. As I showed, the click-through rate for position 1 dropped from 7.3 to 2.6%. That's a 64% decline in 2 years. Ranking number 1 is worth less than half what it was in 2023. The value of traditional SEO rankings is collapsing. So the second graph shows zero-click searches went from 52% to 69%. That's up 33%. More than 2/3 of searches end without a click. And this isn't just simple questions, right? It's happening across all query types as Google continues to roll out more and more, including high intent commercial queries that drive revenue. Third, AI search share jumped from 28% to almost 60%, a 113% increase. ChatGPT usage alone doubled, and this 60% represents some of the highest intent traffic. These are people using AI to make decisions, get recommendations, research solutions. It's pure bottom funnel behavior. So if you connect all 3 dots, right, traditional visibility is declining, zero click is starting to dominate, AI search is starting to explode. The conclusion is simple. AI engines are the new front door to your brand, not the only door, not replacing search completely, but increasingly, this is where your customers start their research, get their recommendations, and make their decisions. If you're not showing up in those AI answers, you're not in the consideration set. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, Hamlet, is the shift real? The shift is real, the data is clear, but what do I actually do about it? So let me kind of talk about that. So if you kind of look at this, what really is GEO and the different areas that you have optimization opportunities, okay? So GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. Simply put, it's the practice of optimizing your content to be discovered, cited, and recommended by AI search engines. So let me kind of break this down for you. Discovered means that AI agents can find your content when they're researching for information to answer a query. Cited means when AI generates an answer, your content is referenced as one of the sources. Recommended means when AI suggests solutions, products, or services, your brand is one of the recommendations. So ChatGPT, which has over 800 million users now, Google AI overviews and AI mode that appear on billions of searches, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, SearchGPT, which is another name for ChatGPT, all these platforms that generate answers rather than just returning links. These aren't niche tools anymore. These are mainstream search behaviors in 2025. Think of it this way. SEO was being SEO was like being in a library catalog. You want your book to show up when someone searches the catalog and you want it on the front shelf so they pick it up. GEO is like being in the librarian's recommendation. When someone asks the librarian, or in this case the AI, what should I read about? You want to be one of the 3 or 5 books that the librarian recommends by name. That's the fundamental shift from being discovered in a list to being recommended in an answer. Now, some of you might be thinking, does this mean I should stop doing SEO? Absolutely not. And here's why. So in this graph, we're going to do a GEO versus SEO, and for you guys to really understand the big shift that's really occurring. Okay. So the first row is really about goals and success metrics. So in traditional SEO, your goal was to rank in the top 10 links on search results pages. Ideally, positions 1, 2, and 3. You measure success by where you ranked. We're number 1 for this keyword. In GEO, your goal is to be cited in the AI-generated answers, to be one of the 3 to 5 sources that ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Google AI mentions when it synthesizes a response. The fundamental measurement change, it's not about ranking positions anymore. It's about citation frequency. And are you being mentioned? How often and in what context? Think about it. Traditional search being for position 4 or 5 still got you some traffic. In AI search, if you're not in the 3 to 5 cited sources, you get zero visibility. There's no page 2 in the AI answers. So the stakes are actually higher in some ways. You need to be in the top tier of citations or you're invisible. Now the second row, optimization focus. In traditional SEO, you're focused heavily on keywords and backlinks. You research keywords, optimize your content for those specific terms, build backlinks to improve domain authority, very technical, very measurable. Geo focus on context and authority. Now, keywords still matter. Don't get this wrong, okay? But AI engines are sophisticated enough to understand semantic meaning, not just keyword matching. What matters more is, do you provide clear, complete answers to questions? Are you recognized as an authoritative space or source? Is your content structured in a way that's easy to extract and cite? Do multiple credible sources reference you? It's less about did I use the keyword 5 times and more about does this content demonstrate genuine expertise and provide quotable, attributable information. Context is king in the AI era, not just keywords, but comprehensive understanding of the topic. Third row, success metrics. This is where your dashboards need to change. Traditional SEO measured click-through rate, what percentage of people who saw your list actually clicked. That was your primary metric, impressions to clicks. GEO measures citation rate and mention rate. How often is your brand mentioned when AI answers relevant queries? What percentage of AI-generated answers in your category include you? And here's the thing, these metrics are harder to track right now. Google Analytics shows you clicks, but how do you measure we were cited in ChatGPT 47 times this month? This is where new GEO tools come in, and we'll cover those later. But the point is, your KPIs are shifting from traffic metrics to more top of the funnel visibility metrics. You might get fewer clicks from AI search, but the visibility of being cited, having your brand name spoken by the AI, that has value that's hard to quantify. Brand awareness, credibility, thought leadership, positioning. Fourth row, technical approach. Traditional SEO was index-based. Google crawled your site, indexed it, and stored the information. Your ranking was based on the index snapshot. Updates took time. You'd publish content, wait for it to be crawled, wait for rankings to adjust. GEO involves real-time synthesis. When someone asks ChatGPT a question, some AI engines like Perplexity and are searching the web right then in real time to find current information and synthesize an answer. Now, not all AI engines work the same way. ChatGPT will rely more on training data based off of the model, and with some of the more current models and MCPs will also crawl the web itself. But the point is, recency matters more in GEO. Fresh, updated content gets prioritized. In SEO, you couldn't publish something and it would have value for years. In GEO, if your content is outdated, AI engines won't cite it. They'll find fresher sources. Fifth row, what AI reads. This means your content maintenance strategy matters more. You can't just publish and forget it. So, in traditional SEO, crawlers read HTML. They looked at your title tags, meta descriptions, header tags, URL structure, alt text, very technical, very structured. In GEO, LLMs read meaning. AI engines understand semantic content. They can parse the actual meaning of your, they can actually meaning of your sentences, understand content, detect expertise, evaluate credibility. This is why old SEO tricks like keyword stuffing just don't work for GEO. AI can't detect when content is low quality or manipulative. It's sophisticated natural language processing. But here's the good news. This actually makes optimization more intuitive in some ways. Instead of worrying, did I use this exact keyword in my H2 tag, you can focus on did I clearly answer the question? Did I demonstrate expertise? Is this information useful and quotable? Write for humans, write clearly, write authoritatively, and AI agents will recognize that quality. Now I want to make something absolutely clear because this is critical. GEO complements SEO. It doesn't replace it. You should not stop doing SEO. You should not abandon your keyword research. Your technical SEO, your link building, all of this still matters. In fact, good SEO is the foundation for good GEO. If your site is slow, if your content is thin, if you have no domain authority, GEO optimizations won't save you. Think of it this way. SEO is the foundation, GEO is the additional layer. You need both. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what happens when GEO, when any of the engines are going and taking one of your queries. So in this slide, what you'll see is how AI engines actually work and how they take a user query, break it down, and synthesize it and come back. So first, step one is the user query. So how this is totally different than what Google does, right? When you might be typing in a search query, is in AI search, people ask natural language questions, full sentences, conversational. What project management tool should I use for a remote team of 15 people? Or another example could be, I need a CRM that integrates with HubSpot and costs under $50 per user. What do you recommend? Do you see the full-on difference? In Google, you would be maybe asking project management software or best CRM. This huge change is you are much more question-based when you're asking, not just keyword-based. What problems are you actually trying to solve? What context do they provide? This is why FAQ sections and question answer formatted content perform so well in GEO. You're literally matching the way users ask questions. The second step of what happens in the process is the query breakdown. So in this step, what you end up doing is you take the query and you actually start thinking about what other ways can you answer it, or what was the user really looking for. So for example, going back on the CRM, so what the question was, what's the best CRM tool for small businesses with less than people? How the AI might also do is go and research the following other questions in addition to that. What are the leading CRMs in the market? What are small businesses specific CRM features? What do CRMs cost for organizations under 50 users? What do small business reviews say about CRMs? And the combination of all four of these is how they would come up with the answers. So the AI is essentially creating a research plan. It's identifying the components of the questions that need to be answered. And then from an optimization standpoint, why this is important is now you can't just optimize for one narrow query. You need comprehensive content that addresses multiple facets of the topic. The AI is looking at your content from multiple angles. The third part is the source itself, right? This is where AI goes looking for information. Now, this varies by platform. Perplexity will search the web in real time. Every single query triggers fresh web searches. ChatGPT relies primarily on its training data, but it's starting to use the web as well with the latest model, especially for recent topics or when it needs current information. Google AI Overviews leverages Google's massive search index and knowledge graph. But across all of them, the AI is looking for sources that are accessible. Can the AI actually read the content, not behind paywalls, not JavaScript rendered invisibly, not blocking AI crawlers? Relevant? Does this source actually address the query components? Authoritative? Does this source appear credible? Recent? For time-sensitive queries, is this information actually current? This is your first gate. If AI engines can't find you, discover you, or access your content, nothing else really matters. Technical SEO and site architecture are still fundamental here. This is why SEO is the foundation for really good GEO. You need to make sure AI crawlers can access your site, check your robust text file, and your content is in formats AI can parse. Text is good. Properly transcribed video is great. Purely visual content without alt text, not so good. Next step is synthesis. This is where the magic happens and where most traditional SEO thinking breaks down. The AI doesn't just regurgitate what it found, it synthesizes information from multiple sources into a cohesive conversational answer. It's pulling information from 5 to 10 different sources, identifying common themes and consistencies, resolving contradictions, organizing information logically, writing it in a natural conversational language. Think about what this means for your content. The AI needs to be able to extract key information easily. So clear structure, good headings, scannable format. It needs to understand your expertise and perspective, authoritative tone, and this is where most people get wrong, a clear point of view. It needs to be quotable, so it needs to have specific claims, concrete, quotable statements, not vague assertions. This is why content structure matters so much for GEO. If your content is a wall of text with no clear structures, AI struggles to extract quotable information. But if you have clear headings, bullet points, data callouts, FAQ format, the AI can easily identify, identify the meaning of exactly what we're trying to say. Next is the citations. After synthesizing the answer, the AI attributes information to sources. This is your moment of visibility, right? So not every source that has been retrieved gets cited. The AI might pull information from 10 sources, but only cite really 3 to 5 in the final answer. So which sources get cited? So the ones that are most authoritative, recognized experts, credible domains. So this is where in SEO lingo, EEAT is still really important. So it's most specific. It provides concrete, attributable information. It's most recent. It has current topics, and it's most clear. It's easy to understand it and extract information from. All right. So I hope this gives you a good idea of what happens when you're asking a question. So let's kind of move on to the pillars themselves. So what we've done here is we've broken down how to actually think about optimizing GEO, and we built it in this sort of pillar foundation format. And just like your house, you can't have one of the pillars missing, otherwise you won't have a safe home to be living in. So this is why we call it the pillars. And I'll go one by one for each one. So first one is the authoritative singles. This is about building credibility the AI engines recognize and respect. Remember from process we just covered, in step 5, AI decides which sources to cite based on authority. So how do you build the authority? It's not one thing. It's a collection of signals. High quality backlinks from trusted domains in your industry. It's not about quantity here. It's about quality. Consistent brand mentions across multiple platforms. Expert authorship. actual humans with credentials attached to their content. So using admin or using team as your author is probably not recommended here. Original data and research that establishes you as a primary source. So any type of research or white papers that you're actually sharing about your customer data and points is considered very valuable here. Social proof. So this could be reviews, this could be case studies, this could be testimonials, any type or user-generated content, any type of social proof is very valuable. And lastly, entity recognition. Are you in the knowledge graph? For those of you that can and should, have you claimed your Wikipedia listing? Are you inside your association and industry databases? All of these allow your business to be recognized and have value in front of AIs. So AI engines aggregate these signals and create an authoritative score for you. The higher the score, the more likely you are to get cited. The pillar takes the longest to build because you can't fake authority. You have to genuinely be credible, but once you build it, this has huge compounding. Authority begets more authority. Okay, so now moving on to the next pillar, content structure. This is something that you have a lot of control and you can optimize right away. And so within your content, there's some basic things to follow through. Do you have clear hierarchical headings? Are you using one H1 tag? Do you have H2, H3? Are you writing in the form of an outline that makes it easy for the models themselves to be able to parse your information? Do you have scannable sections that are self-contained? So is it really easy and quick for the models, again, to be able to read and scan through your content and really understand the meanings of each section? Are you using lists and tables and table of content and really structuring your information? Do you have FAQ format for question and answer pairs? Do you have any type of quotable statistics and call out boxes? Have you front loaded the answer? And what I mean by this, are you using the reverse pyramid style of writing where you give the answer first, then you go through and provide context? So that's really all about pillar 2. Next is the technical optimization, which is pillar 3. So one thing I noticed right off the bat is some people are blocking in their robots text file the actual bots that crawl the site. So that's an easy fix to do. So are you allowing GPT bot, CC bot, Perplexity bot to actually crawl your site? The next is schema. Again, fundamentally great for SEO as well, but have you implemented schema markup so AI can understand your content type? This could be article, FAQ, whatever, all the different variations of schema that you can do. And you can go to Schema Validator to get a sense of all the different types. Do you have a clean site architecture with clear hierarchy? Do you have fast page speed? Ideally static pages if you have some version of a Jamstack or headless CMS build. So it's super fast and crawlers can quickly go through all of your site. Are you mobile optimized? Are you using most AI queries happen on mobile? So it's very important to ensure that you're mobile optimized. And then do you have semantic HTML with proper heading structures? So the H1s and H2s that we talked about before. Okay. As you can see, a lot of these technical ones are very much in line with really good SEO practices as well. So if you're doing solid technical SEO, you're 80% of the way there in this pillar. Now, the next one is strategic distribution. Okay. So this one is a tough one because this is the one that people miss a lot. All right. So what this means is how are you dispersing your content outside of your website? You shouldn't be just having a website presence only. If you can, or if you can claim your Wikipedia, have you done that? If not, if there's anything talking about within your industry, can you get listed in there as well? Another one that we've seen is Reddit. So Reddit user opinions and experiences and comments matter. Are you paying attention to what the conversation and the subreddit conversations occurring in your space? Reddit does get cited quite often. Another is Quora, similar to Reddit. So this is a question and answer format. Are you paying attention to what's happening in Quora and are you active in it? LinkedIn for professional content, especially for B2B. Do the team members have an active profile on LinkedIn? Are you posting on Pulse in addition to actually just doing regular posts themselves? YouTube, are you creating videos with solid transcripts? that are providing educational material that potentially can be cited. And then lastly, any type of industry publications or third-party review sites. Are you being published on third-party industry publications? Do you have active reviews on third-party sites like G2, Capterra, and Trustpilot? As you can see, AI uses a variety of different sources to assess information, but these are some of the top ones that are in there. Okay. So now that you have a good sense of the pillars, what I want to kind of jump into next and looking at the time is overall how to get cited. So what we've done is we put together this checklist. So this checklist will go through 15 different areas and it's broken down by pillar by pillar. I'm not going to read through every single one of these today for you guys, but I'm going to kind of, as I've been explaining some of it, but I'll kind of give you some highlights. All right. So original data and research. So if you look at that one, this is your opportunity to become a primary source. The site AI engines cite when they need data. So if you have an annual industry report, this would be a good example of it. Or running any type of surveys to your customers and publishing the results would be a great example of this. Any type of case studies would be a great example of this, and any type of proprietary benchmarks. All of these are a really good example of doing authoritative signals. So let me go to the next pillar under the technical ones. It's really the schema here. So if I said one thing that can make a huge impact here on the technical side, is really focusing on the schema side. And then if you can do, and you can make sure that you're using schema validator and you have the different FAQ sections really broken out. So make it easier for it to be able to parse it. Okay. So that's one tip I would give. And if you go kind of down to content structure, which is on the top right now, I would say the one I would really zone in on is that how I'm writing FAQ questions and answers. And then if I'm using answer first and also quotable sections. So if you write the content really more focused for the reader and make it scannable, those are the things that I would zone in on the content side. And then on the strategic distribution side, if you can grab wiki, grab it. If you can get mentioned in your industry, do that. The other area would be just pay attention to Reddit and Quora and become active on LinkedIn, especially if you're B2B. But we'll provide this checklist in detail to you at the end of the call as well. Okay. So here are the GEO tool landscape. I've broken it out by category on the type of tools that they are and how you can kind of go about and utilizing them on each one of these tools, okay? So the categories themselves are 1, monitoring tools, 2, all-in-one platforms, 3, SEO platform add-ons, 4, free tools, and 5, specialized tools. So on the monitoring tool side, the one that we really like is Otterly. It makes it really easy to look at citation frequency, share of voice, and it makes tracking the prompts relatively easy for you to understand what needs to be done and improve it. So that's the one I would recommend on the Otterly on the monitoring side. The all-in-one platforms, I would recommend Sonic. So these allow you to not only do tracking, but as well as help you in the content production side. The SEO platform side, I would look at Ahrefs Brand Radar. We use Ahrefs a lot for SEO. So for us, that becomes the natural one. SEM Russia also has one as well too. And then on the free tool side, where I would look at here is GEOPT. I'm probably butchering the enunciation of it. So that's one. It's GEOPTIE. They have a bunch of different tools that you can utilize. And then on the specialized tools, there's Scrunch AI and Evertune. Okay. At the end of the day, there's a lot of different categories of tools, but you just really need to start with one. And that's what I would kind of zone in on. So this is why we kind of created this. Depending on where you are as an organization, if you're like a startup under 50 people with a limited budget, I would definitely recommend Otterly. If you're a growing company that actually wants to also implement the writing component of it, I would look at Sonic. And then if you're an enterprise, I would look at Athena HQ or Profound as your tool of choice. All right. At the end, so what I would really do here is not get overwhelmed, but really just start with one. Most of these tools do have free trials. Most of these tools have easy month-to-month contracts. So you can start with one, see what works, and from there, go pick the one that seems to be providing the best for your team. Okay. Now let's talk about the metrics to measure. So in this graph, what I really want you to zone in on are the elements under the graph here. Those are really the KPIs. So there are two ways of looking at this group of measurements, right? So the one on the left, which are the 4 points, which is citation frequency, share of voice, sentiment score, and prompt rankings, are going to be measured by one of the tools we were talking about in the last area, right? So citation frequency, this is kind of your North Star metric. This is how many times your brand appears in AI generated answers over a given period. So it could easily be tracked weekly or monthly. And so that's kind of how often are you showing up in the prompts that you think are important for you. The next one is share of voice. This is how often your brand is actually mentioned across the total category. So you might not be a citation. Your article might not necessarily be the one that's popping up, but if your company name and your brand is being mentioned, this is where share of voice comes in. Sentiment score are the mentions of your company positive, neutral, or negative. So obviously the goal here is to have positive sentiment. You don't want your negative reviews coming up. So this is really zoning in and can I get a 70% positive score or some variation of that? You set the KPI and you measure towards that. And the last is the prompt rankings. This is, you set up the different prompts. It could be 15, 20, 25, 30, 50 prompts within your industry and category. And how often are you showing up within those prompts within a given period? Are you showing up, 5% of the time, 10% of the time, 15% of the time? So that's kind of, and where are you showing up within those prompts? Okay. So those are all being measured with one of the tools I mentioned previously. Otterly does a good job of measuring 3 of those. The next is around the secondary metrics. These are most of this data comes from GA4 or Google Search Console. So if you go into GA4, you can see your AI refer traffic. How often are you starting to get ChatGPT traffic? And how is that traffic behaving on your site compared to other traffic sources? Same with Perplexity. So it's really a good way of measuring that. The next is conversion rate. What is that traffic actually doing? Are they engaging? Are they becoming a lead? Are they becoming a customer for you? Are they reading the articles? Are they submitting your newsletter form or falling into your funnel as a whole? And like really paying attention to that and seeing which pages are getting the traffic and kind of optimizing around that. The next one that some people will miss is the brand search uplift. This is really looking at your Google Search Console data and looking at your brand name and seeing if you're seeing a growth in overall impressions of your brand name month over month. So as you start doing optimization, what you should start seeing is a brand search lift as people might discover you within ChatGPT or Perplexity and then go to Google and search your brand. So you will see that the improvement on the brand search lift side. Okay. So those are the different metrics to look through. Now we're going to kind of break down into sort of like a 90-day game action plan. Think of this as sort of your audit of what you would be doing and what the first 90 days would look like. So I've organized this similar to a Kanban board. What I did is the green is what you focus on is like the baseline and the quick wins. Yellow is where you start optimizing existing content, which would be weeks 2 to 4, where green was week 1. And then the blue is where you start scaling and distributing your content, which is more or less similar, weeks 2 and 3. Okay. So, and I've also put sort of like the hours recommended here of what each one of these sections would do and overall the time. So we're going to give this to you afterwards to know what your action plan is, right? So the one thing I would say is like, most of you who are going to be here in this webinar and this presentation today are probably going to see this and say, and maybe do one or two of these different things, but I highly, highly recommend it. Don't let this be another one of the webinars that you just go and attend, but overall you don't put some action to it. So starting Monday, please do at the very basic, just pick one tool, go and start measuring some of the basic data. We will give you a Google Sheet and see overall how you are indexing in it, and do something easy off of this. Check your robots text file. You can probably even do that on this call and see if you're even blocking the crawlers themselves, and start zoning in and focusing in on 5 target queries that you want to start optimizing for, and really focusing on, or 5 to 10 pages that you have content around. So I highly recommend you guys doing this 90-day plan. You will see an improvement by month 2 and month 3, and overall your citation metrics. Okay. Now moving on to this is, I want to kind of take a moment and really see, I'm going to go down question by question and see if you are actually GEO, if you are ready to do GEO, right? So do you have the foundation and everything in place to do GEO? As I mentioned before, this is a build on top of your SEO strategy. So if you're not doing SEO well, you can't necessarily do GEO, okay? So take a moment and think about these questions on the dark blue side on the left. So do you have a 6-month, a budget for a 6-month growth initiative? GEO doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. So, and budget, I'm not talking about a $500 budget. I'm talking about a $5, $10, $15,000 budget. Because if you could also try to bootstrap this, but at the end of the day, do you have a budget that will allow you to do content optimization and ensure that you're executing things very well? 2, are you currently investing in SEO or content marketing, right? So do you have a blog? Have you started creating content regularly? Are you following all of the fundamental best practices of SEO? 3, do you think your products or services are actually being searched in AI? So this is really important, right? So when you do a what's the best for your category search in ChatGPT, do you see your competitors popping up, or do you see similar products popping up or similar services popping up? You need to be honest with yourself here. Or do you believe people are actively searching more and more AI to find your competitors in your industry? 4, are you seeing traffic shifts? Were you winning position 1, 2, and 3 on certain keywords, and you saw a dip in impressions and you saw a dip in clicks? Or Google AI overviews got rolled out and you actually saw that impact overall your traffic as a whole? And has this affected you, and has it been over 20% year over year when you look at this data? And then lastly, are you bought in, and is your leadership bought in for this new channel, right? So if you're not the CEO, do you have your CEO, CMO, C-level buy-in to invest in this emerging channel? So for those of you, if you've answered 3 to 5, of those check marks, you're definitely ready to do this, and we should definitely talk more. For those of you that are 1 to 2, you're close. So you're almost there. And if you're 0, that's okay. You just have some work to do, right? So I would focus on building the fundamentals first. All right. So let's take a quick poll again. As the team's launching the poll, let me grab some water because we're almost at the end of the presentation here. So take a quick second and answer this poll. So what's your next step after today's presentation? Are you going to execute GEO in-house, or do it yourself with the resources we provide? Do you want to book a strategy call to see how we here at the agency can help you guys? Do you need to go back and get your leadership buy-in? Are you still evaluating if GEO is right for you, and want to revisit this 3 to 6 months from now as you have other priorities to do? Okay. So for those of you who are ready to kind of work with us, this is just a quick slide of like who we partner with. We're looking for companies that are at a growth stage, or already investing in content marketing and SEO, have product and services, and also have our overall thinking about all these different things, and have a budget of 5 to 15K a month or so, and see growth in sort of horizons of 6 to 12 months. If you are definitely any one of those things, feel free to book a call with me, and we can definitely chat and see if there's an opportunity for us to partner together and if we can help you guys. All right. But before we go on, I want to kind of talk about the opportunity window for GEO, right? So if you think about where we are right now at 2025, we're sort of in the early adopter window. The people are still trying to figure it out. Last year at this time, there was maybe 1 to 3 tools. There's now only 35 tools that actually allow you to see the data so you can start better optimizing for this. And what this is sort of like one of those compounding things. So the people who take advantage of this now will be entrenched into the models as they do future learnings. And on top of that, they would have already gotten more and more citations and figuring out how to produce quality content. And they will sort of be ahead of the curve. So what we believe, if you don't wait 6 months and then kind of start on it, and you actually start on it today, by late 2026, you will have a massive early adopter advantage to everybody else. So keep that in mind. Okay. So what are the 3 key takeaways? Is the shift is real. So AI, search is growing 113% year over year. This isn't the future. This is actually happening now as we speak. It's already started to occur. GEO has a clear framework. There are 4 different things that you need to optimize, and all 4 of them are equally as important. You can't do one and expect to see results. You need to be doing all 4 of them. And there's clear roadmaps and executions. And then the last is, please don't wait till 6 months from now. It's just the opportunity window is now. Like if you actually do take advantage of it, you can overall see significant improvements within 2 months and start seeing the positive traction signals. So as we get ready to open up the questions and answers, what I wanted to do is you should see a type form you should see a type form. You should see my LinkedIn for you to be able to go to my LinkedIn. After the call, we're going to be sharing the blog articles where we talk about a bunch of different things related to GEO and go even further in depth. We're also going to give you guys the checklist, the 15-point checklist. We're going to also give you guys the tool so you can select the tool of your choice. And then in addition to that, we're going to give you the 90-day roadmap as well. So for those of you who want to do this yourself, you're more than welcome to. You can easily connect with me on LinkedIn or X, and I can also be found on LinkedIn. You can easily just search my name, Hamlet Azarian, and I should be easily found there. You can also scan the QR code here and to be able to schedule a strategy call if you want to talk about overall how we could potentially help you guys. And with that, I'm going to take a drip of water and then start answering some of your questions. So let me stop screen sharing so I can see the questions themselves. 1 second. Okay. First question is, how do AI search engines differ from traditional search engines in terms of ranking content? AI search engines rank content from if you remember the 4 pillars, right? So through all those 4 different pillars, one is the way the content itself is written, and the FAQ formats help that. The authoritative signals that you're kind of getting, and as well as in general, your activity, are you a trusted site? So those, if you go back to the 4 pillars, that really kind of addresses that question. So the next one is AEO versus GEO, are they interchangeable? Yes, AEO versus GEO are exactly the same thing. I here call it GEO, which is generative engine optimization, but they are, instead of answer engine optimization, but yes, they are interchangeable acronyms. The next question, how does using AI to write content affect the visibility of GEO? So this is an open one, right? So obviously here at the agency, we use AI to help assist in the content production. And what we've learned is the more information you provide it, the better unique and personalized content it can provide. So this includes everything from your brand voice to your customers and these like key source documents and the research you do in order to publish the content. But it doesn't take human out of the loop. You still need a human editor or writer to kind of review it, edit the content, optimize it, and make it much more friendlier and be in line. So that's the kind of the difference is you can use AI to write content, but please make sure that humans are definitely in the loop and are reviewing it and making sure there's no hallucinations occurring. Okay. So the next question, so I think Stephanie asked the same question around that. What is the recommendation on how much to use LLMs to create content? So Stephanie, I hope that answered the same question. I feel like that was similar. Okay. Alonzo asked a question, what's one thing that you've seen that actually moves the needle for GEO? So what I've seen, Alonzo, what actually moved the needle for GEO is quotes, right? So having quote sections and FAQs in your content and then revitalizing and optimizing the way you're writing it. Those things really, really do matter. Another is having an LLM .text file. This is, I didn't talk about it as one of the 15 because this is a new adaptation that's starting to occur. It's similar to the robust text file where you can give it a focus of what pages for the models to zone in on and what overall and provide a guidance when they are crawling your site. Okay, so that's for Alonzo. Kenji asked the question, how can you set up e-commerce site menu for GEO optimization? Great question, Kenji. You can still do FAQs. You can still do the content reviews, right? So all of those things definitely matter. In addition to that, you can do blog. So Kenji, if you have further questions on this, feel free to schedule a call with me and we can definitely chat more. But you can use the same principles and you can build different sections on the e-commerce platform to be able to do that. Okay. Ram asked Ram asked two questions. How do we repurpose our content for GEO Ready? We have a lot of content that's good quality. I mean, existing website content. Oh, great question, Ram. So what you need to do is you can't do all of it all at once. I would initially start by getting one of the tools, let's say Otterly, and then figure out what are the keywords you're trying to optimize for. And then from there, go and read the content itself. Make sure you have the schema in place. Make sure you have the FAQs in place. If you don't, add that. Make sure you have a distinctive point of view. It's really follow that pillar framework and go to the content component side of things and make sure all of those things are occurring as well as the technical side. If you do have any more questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out and I can definitely give you more tips as well too. So Joanna asked another question. Are there any opinions you have based on your expertise on using GEO tactics for resume writing? Joanna, great question. I actually have not done that, so sorry, I'm not able to answer that one, but it is a great question. Let me think about it, and if I can, for a minute or two, if I could think of something, I'll definitely send to you, but I haven't done it for resume writing. Saga asked the question, what do you see as an area that's ripe for disruption or improvement in this space if I want to start a company? Oh, great question, Sag. So GEO obviously is a foundation layer on top of SEO. So the question really isn't, is there a disruption opportunity on GEO? There's tools that are coming out, right? So there's about 35 or so. So that's going to get flooded very, very quickly. I think what you really need to think through that potentially might help is because Reddit is now becoming more important and as well as Quora is becoming more important and LinkedIn and just the distribution, maybe focusing on the distribution arm of things seems like an area that most people aren't. and helping people figure out ways to simplify content distribution once it's been written and it's been validated that it's following all best practices. So being able to take one large content piece and being able to break down into many different channels and distributing could be a potential opportunity. And then from there, gathering the data and input and ensuring that you're sort of building a system. So like following sort of like a vibe marketing playbook or a system and building something around that. Okay. So Margaret Farrow asks, how often do you recommend hands-on testing your GEO? I've been checking in periodic to see what AI tools say my org is, but I'm not sure how often is best practices. Great question. So with the tools that you have, you should do a weekly check-in on the prompts themselves and a monthly check-in on some of the metrics. We will provide a Google Sheet that actually tells you exactly which way to go about and how to measure it. All right, so I believe I answered most of the questions in the Q&A. Let me scan quickly through the chat to see if I missed anything. If you have questions that I haven't answered, please feel free to add in the FAQ. Otherwise, thank you everyone for it. Oh, another question came in. From Kirsten, if we have optimized our website for SEO, how much work is the overhaul to now optimize for GEO? What is the relevant, what you should have just to be redone? Great question, Kirsten. You've done a lot of it already. You're actually ready to do GEO properly. SEO is sort of the foundation, as I mentioned. The lift really is understanding the way you're writing the content and now focusing potentially on the distribution side and confirming that you have the FAQs in place and how fast the site is and all of those different things. But if you like, set up a call with me and we can definitely dig in and look at your specific situation and I can give you much better guidance as well too. Okay. Anita is asking for resources page. Of course, we will share all of that after the call, Anita. Not a problem at all. So it's 12:02 now. Thank you, everybody. It seems like there's no other questions left to answer. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I hope you found the session informative. We will be giving the recording and the resources to everyone who attended. And if you'd like to schedule a call to see how we can help you guys, feel free to do so. One last thing, please fill out the type form. It allows us to ensure that we can do a better job of upcoming future webinars. This is something we love doing, obviously, as part of the Growth Labs webinar series. And thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.